Welcome back, everyone, to the deep dive. This time, we're tackling a topic that I know you're all interested in, and that's nutrition.
Yes, but we're going beyond the fads.
Right. We really want to understand, what does healthy eating actually even mean?
Yeah,
And then, explore all those popular diet challenges that are out there.
exactly. We'll look at them with a critical eye, though.
Yeah.
Figure out what works for you.
Yeah, exactly. No one size fits all here. But, gotta say, when our sources started talking about macronutrients and micronutrients, I kind of felt like I was back in high school chemistry class.
Aye, aye.
Can we get a non-textbook version?
Sure, sure. Think of macronutrients as like your main fuel sources.
Okay.
So that would be your proteins, your carbs, and your fats.
Okay.
You need those in larger amounts.
Yeah.
That's the macro.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then your micronutrients are your vitamins and minerals.
Got it.
Smaller amounts, but super important for a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Like your immune system, healthy bones, all that.
So it's like having a really high performance car. You
Yeah.
need the right fuel to make it go, but then you also need those regular tune-ups and oil changes.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And just like cars need different, types of fuel blends and maintenance, our bodies all have unique needs.
That's so true. Yeah, and that makes sense because I feel like we've all tried those generic diet plans and they never work.
Right.
So how do we figure out this personalized nutrition? Where do you even begin?
Well, a lot of factors go into it. Your age, your activity levels, even genetics.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot. That's why working with a registered dietitian can be a great step.
Mm-hmm.
They can help you, look at all the factors and help you create a plan that works for you.
Yeah, like having a personal nutrition coach.
Exactly.
But in the meantime, while we're all searching for our perfect dietitian, our diet challenge is a good way to kind of experiment with different eating styles.
They can be, yeah. They
Yeah.
give you structure and accountability. A lot of people find that helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And usually there's a community aspect,
Yeah, the support system.
which can be motivating.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, our sources mentioned a bunch: plant-based, keto, intermittent fasting, even like a whole foods challenge.
Right.
There's a challenge for every eating style, it seems.
There really is.
Yeah.
But, and this is important, they're not miracle cures.
Yeah.
Let's start with plant-based that's gained a lot of traction lately.
Okay.
Basically, it's all about increasing your intake of plants,
Yeah.
fruits, veggies, legumes, grains,
Okay.
and cutting back on meat and dairy or eliminating them.
I've heard so many good things about plant-based eating, but
Yeah.
what are the actual benefits?
Well, research suggests it's really good for your heart.
Okay.
Plant-based diets are naturally lower in saturated fat and cholesterol.
Hmm?
Those are two things that can contribute to heart disease.
Right, right.
And plant-based diets are packed with fiber, which is good for blood sugar and digestion.
Interesting. So it's not just about feeling good. There's real science behind it.
Right.
Now onto a challenge I feel like has everyone buzzing. Keto. What's the deal with that? And is it as good as people say it is?
Keto, the ketogenic diet, is all about changing your body's main fuel source.
Okay.
Instead of relying on glucose from carbohydrates, you're basically training your body to burn fat
Wow.
for energy. So very low carb, high fat. Up to 70% of your daily calories could come from fat.
Wow, 70%. That's a lot. But is that safe for everyone?
That's where the caution comes in.
Yeah.
It can lead to really fast weight loss for some people,
Right.
but it's not for everyone.
Okay.
Especially if you have certain medical conditions. It requires careful planning.
Yeah.
You want to make sure you're getting the nutrients you need
Okay.
from healthy fat sources.
So it's not just loading up on bacon.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
And speaking of different ways to approach eating, another popular challenge focuses on when you eat,
Okay.
not what you eat.
You're talking about intermittent fasting, right?
Yes.
I've heard about the 16.8 method.
Right. So with the 16.8 method, you're cycling between eating and fasting.
Okay.
You fast for 16 hours and then eat within an 8-hour window each day.
Mm-hmm.
So you might skip breakfast and then have your first meal at noon,
Okay.
finish up by 8 p.m.
Okay.
So it's all about the timing.
I can see the appeal. Like if you have a busy schedule
Yeah,
and you just want that flexibility,
absolutely.
what are some of the benefits with that approach?
Well, research has shown some potential benefits like better insulin sensitivity
Mm-hmm.
and even cellular repair.
Interesting.
But it's important to listen to your body.
Right.
Not every eating style is going to work for everyone.
That's true. Okay, so we've talked plants, fats, timing, but what about going back to basics
Yeah.
with like a whole foods challenge?
The whole foods challenge is, well, eating whole foods.
Makes sense.
So fresh fruits and vegetables,
Okay.
whole grains,
Mm-hmm.
lean protein, healthy fats.
Mm-hmm.
You're basically cutting out processed foods, added sugars, artificial ingredients.
Okay.
A good way to reconnect with real food
Yeah, yeah.
and be more mindful of what you're eating.
Okay, so we've gone through all these different challenges. Sounds like the key takeaway here is they're not permanent solutions.
Right.
They're more like tools to
Exactly.
help you kind of explore different eating styles.
Right. And you learn, and then you integrate those principles
Mm-hmm.
into a long-term lifestyle.
Okay.
So it's not about jumping from one extreme to the next.
Right, right. So it's more about progress, not perfection.
Absolutely.
But how do we go about setting like realistic goals and tracking our progress, you know?
Yeah.
Because we've all been there where we set those super ambitious goals.
Yeah.
And then a week later we've fallen off the wagon.
It happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something we'll get into after a quick break. Stay with us.
Okay, so we've covered a lot, from like the actual building blocks of nutrition to,
Yes.
you know, all these diet challenges out there. But now I kind of want to talk about setting realistic goals and how do we track our progress?
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, we've all been there where you set this super ambitious goal
Right.
and then, you know, a week later you've totally fallen off the wagon.
It happens.
Yeah.
The key, I think, is to shift your focus from those big overhauls to making small changes.
Okay.
You know, sustainable changes. So instead of trying to do like a complete dietary makeover,
All right.
what if you just started with adding one more serving of vegetables
Okay, yeah.
to your dinner each night?
I like that.
Or swapping that sugary soda in the afternoon for water?
Yeah, it's those small changes that I feel like can really make a difference over time.
Absolutely.
It's like building a house brick by brick. You don't throw up all the walls at once.
Right. And speaking of building, when you're setting goals, I think it's important to think about building a healthier you,
Okay.
not just a smaller you.
Right, right.
Think about how you want to feel.
Mm-hmm.
More energy,
Mm-hmm.
less sluggish.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you want to sleep better. Reduce those sugar cravings.
Yeah, it's about connecting those goals to those real tangible benefits.
Exactly.
That go beyond the number on the scale.
Right. And that's where tracking your progress can come in.
Okay.
You know, keeping a food journal can be really insightful.
Mm.
You can start to see the connections between what you're eating
Yeah.
and how you're feeling.
Right.
Like, do you notice that you feel sluggish after a carb-heavy meal?
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe you have more energy when you're eating more protein, healthy fats.
It's like you become a detective for your own body.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you start to see the patterns, you learn what fuels you. But with all these challenges out there,
Right.
it's easy to get caught up in all the hype, especially, you know, you see those before and after pictures
Oh, yeah.
all over social media.
It's a tricky landscape.
Yeah.
While some of these challenges can be fun and a good way to try new things,
Yeah.
it's important to approach them with a healthy dose of skepticism.
Okay.
Understand the risks and the benefits.
Okay, so let's play devil's advocate for a second.
Okay.
What are some of the upsides? Like, what are the good things about these challenges?
Well, they can provide that structure and accountability.
Mm-hmm.
Having that set plan, it can be motivating.
Okay.
And like we talked about, the community aspect
Right.
can be really supportive.
And if you're somebody who loves competition,
Yeah.
it can be a good push
Right.
to get those healthy habits going.
Absolutely. And you know, those quick results can be appealing,
Right.
especially in today's world.
Okay, but here's where the buyer beware flag goes up, right?
Yeah.
What are some of the downsides or risks to these challenges?
I'd say one of the big concerns is that a lot of them promote restrictive eating patterns.
Okay.
And that could lead to nutrient deficiencies.
Okay.
If they're not planned out carefully,
Mm-hmm.
cutting out whole food groups, drastically reducing calories, that can backfire.
Right.
You know, you could end up with rebound weight gain and yo-yo dieting.
It's like they say, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sustainable weight loss,
Yeah.
improved health. It's not about quick fixes.
Yeah.
It's about making changes you can stick with.
Yeah.
And we also can't forget the psychological impact.
Right.
Some of these challenges can create an unhealthy obsession with food and body image,
Mm-hmm.
which isn't good for mental well-being.
So it's really important to approach any dietary changes with a healthy mindset.
Absolutely.
You know, focusing on your well-being and not just a smaller dress size.
Totally agree. And this brings us back to personalized nutrition. what works for one person might not work for another.
Right.
A challenge that's safe for one person could be harmful for another.
So how do we make informed choices? Like
Yeah.
what are some of the questions we should ask ourselves before we jump on the bandwagon?
I think first and foremost, talk to your doctor,
Okay.
especially if you have any underlying health conditions.
Yeah.
They can help you figure out if the challenge is right for you
Okay.
and how to do it safely.
Like getting a personalized roadmap before you embark on a journey.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got the green light from our doctor. What's next?
Do your research.
Okay.
Go beyond the flashy marketing and look at the science behind the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Understand the potential risks, the benefits.
Right.
Is this something you can see yourself doing long term?
Right.
Don't just take the influencer's word for it.
Good point.
And remember, there's no shame in asking for help. If you're unsure how to approach a challenge,
Yeah.
a registered dietitian can provide that guidance. It's like having a coach in your corner
Okay.
to help you make the right choices.
That's a great way to put it. But beyond all the science and the expert advice, there's one crucial thing we can't forget.
And that is,
Listening to your body,
yes.
paying attention to how you're feeling physically and mentally.
Yeah.
If something doesn't feel right,
Yeah,
don't hesitate to adjust or even stop.
absolutely. Our bodies are very intuitive. They tell us what we need.
Right.
We just have to listen.
This has been super helpful.
Good.
It's clear these challenges aren't a one-size-fits-all solution.
Right.
It's about being critical, doing your research, talking to the experts,
Mhm.
and really prioritizing your well-being.
Exactly. It's not about quick fixes or following trends.
Right.
It's about finding what works best for you
Mm-hmm.
and taking a balanced approach to nutrition.
Now, before we wrap things up, I want to touch on something I think is often overlooked
Okay.
when we talk about nutrition, and that's the connection between food and mental well-being.
Right. It's not just what you eat, but how you eat
Yeah,
and the emotions you associate with food.
exactly. And our sources talked a lot about mindful eating.
Mm-hmm.
Can you break that down for us? Like, what does that actually mean?
Mindful eating is all about being present in the moment
Okay.
when you're eating. So
Mhm.
savoring those flavors, the textures, the aromas,
Okay.
without judgment,
Mm,
you're tuning in to your hunger cues,
yeah.
Eating with intention
Okay.
rather than just mindlessly shoveling food into your mouth.
So it's the opposite of scrolling on social media while you're eating your dinner.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you eat mindfully, you become more in tune with your body's needs.
Mm-hmm.
And you can make more conscious choices about what you're eating and how much.
Okay.
It's about creating a healthier relationship with food.
It sounds like it takes practice, like almost like meditation, but for mealtime.
You got it. It does take effort,
Mm-hmm.
but the benefits are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Mindful eating can help reduce stress, it can improve digestion, and it can prevent overeating.
Okay, cool. Now, shifting gears a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's talk about emotional eating,
Go.
because I think that's something a lot of us struggle with. What are some strategies
Yeah.
for overcoming that urge to reach for that comfort food when you're, stressed or down?
I think the first step is recognizing those triggers.
Okay.
Like, what are the situations or emotions that lead you to reach for the snacks?
Right.
Are you stressed? Are you bored? Are you lonely?
Okay.
And once you know your triggers, then you can start to develop healthier coping mechanisms.
Okay.
So instead of reaching for those chips when you're overwhelmed, maybe you go for a walk.
Okay.
You call a friend.
Right.
You listen to some music.
It's finding those other ways to soothe yourself
Exactly.
that don't involve food.
And remember, it's okay to enjoy those treats every now and then,
Mm-hmm.
but do it mindfully and without guilt.
Yeah.
Food should be a source of pleasure and nourishment, not stress and shame.
I love that. But indulging aside, there's another aspect of eating that I think we take for granted.
What's that?
The social side.
Oh, yeah.
There's something so special about, sitting down at a table with friends and family,
Mhm.
sharing stories,
Absolutely.
and enjoying a meal together.
Sharing meals with your loved ones can really enhance the enjoyment of food,
Mm-hmm.
and it strengthens those social connections. It creates a sense of community,
Right.
belonging. And research has shown that people who eat socially tend to have healthier habits overall.
So it's not just what's on our plates. It's about the company we keep.
Exactly.
And the atmosphere we create around mealtime.
Yeah, creating that positive, supportive environment
Mm.
where food is enjoyed and celebrated.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation about the connection between food and mental well-being.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a good reminder that healthy eating is about so much more than just calories and nutrients.
Absolutely. It's about cultivating a mindful and balanced relationship with food,
Mm-hmm.
one that nourishes you on every level.
And speaking of nourishment, I think it's time to move on to our final thoughts and takeaways. This deep dive into nutrition has been, wow, eye-opening to say the least.
It has.
We've covered so much from, those basic macronutrients to
Yeah.
those diet challenges
Right?
to the emotional side of eating. Like, it's been a journey.
It has. And I think, you hit the nail on the head when you said healthy eating is about so much more
Mm.
to just the food on our plate.
Exactly. Yeah. But before we wrap up, I know you have some final wisdom to share with our listener.
I do. I want you to consider this.
Okay.
What's one small change that you can make to your diet today
Mm-hmm.
that would have like the biggest positive impact?
Okay.
Maybe it's adding a piece of fruit to your breakfast,
Mm-hmm.
or swapping that soda for water, or trying a new plant-based recipe.
Ooh, I love that challenge. It's that reminder that we have the power to make those choices.
Right.
Every bite is a chance to nourish ourselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about taking ownership of your well-being
Mm-hmm.
and recognizing that even those small changes can make a big difference.
This deep dive has been incredible. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your expertise.
My pleasure. Always happy to dive into these topics.
And to everyone listening, thank you for joining us on the deep dive. We hope you feel inspired
Yes.
to create a relationship with food that truly nourishes you.
Until next time, happy eating, everyone.